And it looks like we are live. What's going on, everybody? I am Justin Thomas. Let me click off me so we can see my wonderful guest. Today, we are doing a Game of Thrones stream, something I have not done in a while. I am dipping my feet. I'm not even dipping. I'm jumping straight into the water with Game of Thrones. I've been on Westworld for so long, and I'm doing it with one of the founding fathers of the community. I'm honored and proud and excited to have on the Don, Tony Teflon, to talk a little Game of Thrones. How you doing, Tony?
What's going on, Founding Fathers? Makes me sound old up in this motherfucker, but I'll take it. What's the deal, my people? You know what it is, Don Tony Teflon. If you don't know, now you motherfucking do. And you know what we do. I'm chilling here, my man JT. Thug mug is in hand. Drink is ready to go. We talking Game of Thrones. You know how we do. We getting into this. We lighting it up. What up to everybody in the chat? I do not have the chat open, so I cannot see who's up in this motherfucker. But peace to everybody up there. Please put your questions and all that down there. I'll get to it. I'm sure we'll get to them as soon as we can. But thank you for having me over here. I'm honored to be on your channel. Thank you. And let's get this popping.
Yeah, well, thank you. I've never dealt with somebody that was so casual. I was like, you want to do a stream? And I was like, well, when are you open? Because, I got respect. I was raised with a little bit of respect. And you're like, well, whenever. And I'm like, well, when are you open? You're like, it's your channel whenever you want. I'm like, well, what do you want to talk about? You're like, you make that decision. And I'm like, all right, damn, this dude is real about just let's do it. He don't care. He's like, let's do it. You're here to do it. You're like, yeah, it doesn't matter. I'll know. So I got faith in that. I'm like, shit, now I don't know if I know. I've been thinking about Westworld for so long. I'm like, this motherfucker's ready. Like, so yeah. But what we are going to be talking about is a very serious question. Very serious question, people. Well, it's an issue that all series, in all fairness, deal with, and it's a final season issue. It's can they pay out the series, especially when the series is so good? The better the series is in the beginning, the harder it is in the end. Very few shows successfully, successfully ended, got the landing. What's the word I'm looking for here? Successfully stuck the landing is what I'm looking for there. So, there's shows like Dexter that totally fucking bombed it. And then there's shows like the Breaking Bad that did a fairly good job. Game of Thrones is a whole nother animal because we have a lot of people who are probably watching this and that will be watching this after are probably people that have read the books as well, just like me and Tony. And so it's kind of hard for us not to hope for a little bit of that book aspect in there at the end. But in reality, we're not really the base anymore. We've been convincing other people to watch this show for so many years, and now everybody's sitting around their dinner table and they're waiting for this finale, and they're not going to understand who Nisa is if nobody tells them, because nobody has. They're not going to know who Ashara Dane is because they don't even know who Arthur Dane is. You're going to be like, twirly sword guy. They'll be like, I guess. So how much should we read into the prophecies? How much should we read into the deep, complicated theories that are very fun to speculate about? And I have nothing against them, but how realistic is it for us to think that we're going to have this crazy, fleshed out, complicated story? What do you think about this, Tony? Do you think that we're set for a disappointment, or do you think that they're going to do a fairly good job especially after the last season, which I would say they didn't stick that landing?
Sticking the landing. When I think of sticking the landing, I think of Kerry Strug. Messed up ankle, hits the vault, hands in the air, wins it for the gymnastics team for the United States. I think it has to be something like that because we're limping in to this season in my aspect. So if they're going to stick the landing, it's going to have to be something like that. Now, that's the hardest thing to do, I think, in all of television, to really have a good ending episode, because it's hard to satisfy everybody. It's hard to make everybody happy. You're going to have a lot of people that are upset. And you get the Sopranos ending. People are upset. I love the Sopranos ending. I know what happened in the Sopranos ending. It was obvious to me, but some people probably didn't see it that way, so they didn't get it. Even if you look at Inception, the ending there, people don't like that ending. I love that ending. I think I know what happened there too. So, it's all about how you perceive the ending and what works for you. So it's going to be very hard for them to do that. Whether they can, whether we're going to see a lot of the prophecies of things that we have in the books, a lot of it's already been omitted. So I don't see the reason to bring it up. We'll get the big things, anything that helps push the plot forward that you need to know to end this, then you'll get. But if not, you won't get anything.
So what I take from that is the two shows that you mentioned both ended very ambiguously. The Sopranos, which I did like, but I didn't like because I was a DJ in Detroit and there's no midnight train and nobody says South Detroit. But besides that, it left it up to your like how you wanted to interpret it. And same, what was all the you said the Sopranos and in Inception again with the the top twirling and it ends. That's also up to like how you want to take that. That's up to interpretation. So do you think, are you implying that Game of Thrones might leave us pretty much leave the ending in our hands?
It may end. I think you're gonna get you're gonna see an overview of what's going on, but you're not going to see what goes on after things get together. Like I think you may see who's sitting on the Iron Throne or what's going to, the end of that. But there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen after that. You probably will not. You're not going to go into that. But going back real quick to the Sopranos, I think the Sopranos ending was obvious. I think that he's dead. I think it was obvious that he died. I don't know. To me, it's really weird that people don't think he died. I just don't know how people get to that conclusion. I think it's pretty obvious.
They don't see the cinematography with the way it's shot. It is shot from his point of view. So we're led to believe that when that gentleman gets up to go to the bathroom, I think this is what you're talking about, that and it goes black and sudden, just like whatever his name is, Silva or whatever. I haven't seen the show in a while. Didn't see his bullets coming. That it just goes black because he's gone. That's my interpretation. That
he's gone. And because you have his man tells him, what happens when you're dead? I think you don't see nothing, you don't hear nothing. It just goes black. You're seeing it from his view. He sees everybody come through the door of his family. But when Meadow comes through the door, he doesn't see her come through the door. It goes black before he sees her come through the door, meaning that she died before she got through the door. He doesn't know what happened. It's over. That's it.
Yeah, Bobby Barcelona, right?
Yes, sir.
Yep. He's like, you probably don't even see it. And he's buying a goddamn train. So that's embarrassing. I'd be like, don't mention that at my wake. If I happen to be buying a silly hobbyist toy, just say I was doing like kickboxing or something like that. Like,
I think if we get, we know what you're going to get. You're going to get the Night's King defeated by Jon Snow, yada, yada. We know we're going to get that, right? So that is going to be exciting in the moment of them defeating the guy. But it's really after that is what really matters. All right. That is the part that has to work. The fight scene with the Night's King Jon Snow, it's going to be great. They got enough money to make that good. I can't see them blowing it. Now, these are the people who did have the fight scene with the Sand Snakes. I know this. All right. I know this. They are the ones who did that with John and Jay. I know. But I think they learned from that. Right. And they have the right director doing it. So I'm not worried about that. But it's after that. It's what they show us after that I'm concerned about. Can they stick that part? Can you satisfy the audience with that?
Yeah, I mean, because what it comes down to is conveying the message. So that all is subjective as well. Because what is the message? I mean, obviously it's anti-war. Obviously, it's a commentary on the feudal system. It's a commentary on the power structure. It's a commentary on global warming, nuclear warfare, and so on. So it is interesting to me. I have one thing from the chat. BBM brings up another point that another Breaking Bad, like I brought up, that's also left ambiguous because Walter White could still be alive. And actually, that guy I don't like, the film theorist, he did do a pretty compelling video about how his type of cancer, whatever meds he was on, would stop him from bleeding out as quickly. So like cancer technically would save his life, but every video that guy does, somebody else debunks. So I don't know how much to read into that, but you're right, BBM. That's also, left up to us, left up to interpretation. But it's interesting to me, Tony, that you said, and also just so you guys know, this is the first time me and Tony have ever talked on air here. So we truly are feeling each other out here. This is an interrogation, Tony. I think, I think you've been at it a little bit longer than me. So yeah, I'll sit back. But I think it's interesting that you, sir, said who's sitting on the Iron Throne, as that's a surety. Is that a surety in your mind?
And who's sitting on the Iron Throne? I think that, yes, there's no doubt that there will be an Iron Throne. I know people may try to say that there's going to be how long it takes to get a Senate together. You know how long it takes to do all that. This thing is about the Iron Throne. That's what the whole thing's about. The whole thing from the beginning, the first thing you see in the promos, the Iron Throne. So at the end, it's going to go away? No, that doesn't happen. You don't do that. You don't have someone saying they're fighting for the championship belt, and then at the end, when they get to the belt, they throw the belt away. That is like Luke Skywalker in Star Wars getting this fucking lightsaber and throwing it over his shoulder. You don't do that. You don't build that whole thing up just for someone to throw it away. You can't end it like that. So there's no way there cannot be an Iron Throne. It has to be an Iron Throne. It has to be someone there that people think is a just king, because that's what they're looking for throughout this whole thing, someone that's actually capable of ruling. So I think we're going to get the combination of everything. You have Robert Baratheon, the great warrior, but couldn't rule. You have other people that are good rulers, but aren't great warriors. So I think you're going to get the combination of someone that could do both.
Yeah, I think it's a good point, because I've talked about this before, that I don't see them, because again, like you said, you can't just get people. We have to look at it from their POV. People, if you were to go back to like Tudor England and you're like, guess what? No more king. Even as Henry was just chopping off heads left and right, they'd be like, no more what? You know what I mean? They would flip the fuck out, even though we know that's not an advantageous situation for them. But people probably a million years from now will be like, well, I hope that most people know, if I offend anybody in the chat, Trump's not a good idea either. So you know what I mean? And we seem to be the majority of the country voted for that motherfucker. So I don't know how I should make fun of the people that were happy with Henry VIII. But anyways, yeah, you can't go to like even a constitutional monarchy like overnight. The people like there was a great, I think it was Aziz from History of Westeros, that had this great professor on that was talking about this one time, and he was talking about how people, the peasants, would view, in his opinion, and he was like an actual professor. He wasn't just a guy that was like, I think Game of Thrones is fun, so I'm going to talk about it. He knew his shit, and he was talking about how they would look at the rule. I forget who he was comparing it to, of Robert, as like like the good times, because there was some warfare with the Greyjoy uprising and all that. But even though that motherfucker didn't like the rule, Aaron was taking care of it, and it was fairly peaceful. You had to look before that. The Targaryens were burning people, and then you had all the Blackfire rebellions every other day, every other year. I think that there was only like 9 to 10 years at once ever in the last 120 years of the lore of Game of Thrones when there wasn't a war. You know what I mean? Like Tywin Lannister, I believe, in the Blackfish are veterans technically of 5 wars in their life. Now imagine that. Think about our World War I, World War II, Vietnam, North Korea, and then put them in the first Gulf War. You know what I mean? So yeah, I agree with you. I think that what we're going to see though is hints. I think we're going to see somebody take the throne, and then I've talked about this before. I think we'll see like hints of a like what looks to be a parliamentary meeting, going on. We'll see Sam. I'm a big stickler for, especially with the way the shows handled the Citadel. The Maesters are just, it's not like they're even suppressing stuff, they're just stupid. So like I see him walking across, let's just call it the battlefield after whatever happens, the battle for the dawn, in him really, like recording what's happening. Because look at like last season, what that Maester was talking about, what he was writing about, was he writing about Robert's Rebellion or something? When there's, like nobody was paying attention to what was going on. They're suppressing information. So I think we'll just see stages, we'll see steps towards that. But I think you're absolutely right. It would be silly to think that they're just going to get rid of the feudal system right away, because the one thing that makes Game of Thrones so good is that it's this high fantasy backdrop that's based or grounded in reality. We people love to get that smart comparison that it's compared to the War of the Roses, which it is, you know what I mean, like, but it's compared to a lot of things. When you can ground it in history, it makes it that much better. So I don't think, if they stick to that, if Dan and Dave aren't just totally off their leash, which it seems like he had them on quite the lead last season, they should have to stick to what you're saying. How much do you think prophecy is going to play a part in this, Tony?
I would hope that it plays a big part, but I don't think it's going to play too much. I think you'll get some of the Nisa stuff. You've already been hinted that already. They've already set that up, so I think you'll get the Nisa stuff. I'm hoping that you'll get the Cersei stuff. I think it's set up for Cersei to die the way in the prophecy. I think you can do that, but I also can see them wanting Cersei to have a more dramatic ending. Case in point, I would think that Littlefinger, the way he died in this show, is no way that he's going to die like that in the books. I don't see that happening whatsoever, in my point of view. But and Barris and Selmy, I don't think he's going to die in that way. I do think Barris and Selmy does have a chance of dying in the books in the Battle of Fire, but I don't think he's dying this way with these harpies surrounding him. So I think this is something they did. I
Yes,
know that
stupid.
Stannis
Dying
Baratheon.
stupid.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know Stannis Baratheon is not dying at the hands of Brienne in that manner of attacking Winterfell. Don't see that whatsoever happening. So I think that when you look at certain things like that, they may change Cersei's ending to be a little bit more dramatic for TV, to give her something bigger, because it may not be as big to them as would be to book readers. Because we already have a strangulation with Tyrion doing that to somebody, so they may not want to repeat that again and have her go out that way. So it could be a little bit different. So I think we'll get some, but I don't think we're going to get everything that we're looking for that as a book reader.
But now, like you mentioned, the Nisa stuff has been mentioned. Has it? The prince that was promised has been mentioned, but nobody's ever talked about Nisa on the show. Am I incorrect on that?
Yeah, she did. It's there. So I did a video, you can check it out. It's called War of Ice and Fire, and I say in this video, when you see Melisandre talk to Dany and Missandei, and then Missandei corrects her and says that the prince that was promised could mean princess.
Gender neutral. She speaks High Valyrian.
Yep. And then Dany says, is that true? And do you think that could be me? And she says to her, I think it's someone else, but I think you have a part to play.
Okay.
So the only part that she can play, she's saying, I think it's someone else. That's Jon, but I think you have a part to play. Now, what other part could there be to play? It would have to be the Nisa part. And also, when you see Melisandre, when Davos talks to Jon, when we're talking about Jon, when he meets Dany, he goes, he took a knife to the heart, and he stops real quick. Later on, you see Dany talking to Missandei, and she goes, what was that about taking a knife to the heart? Now, you got to look. When Davos said that about Jon, he says he took a knife to the heart for his people. So this would be the opportunity when Dany has done a lot of things, but this would be a big sacrifice for her to do it for her people, for the people she loves. And I think that's what that's all setting up for her to get stabbed up.
Yeah, I think that exactly what you're talking about is setting up for her to definitely be sacrificed. Because what does Jon say? I'll paraphrase here, but because it comes up again, she keeps wanting to know, because that guy's playing it cool. If you stab me in the heart and then I was alive, I'd tell everyone. First in Epic, I'm Justin Thomas. Welcome to the Justin Thomas Show. I was once killed. Now I'm not. I'm the shit. I'm pretty much Jesus.
Look what it did for 50 Cent, man. Look what it did, getting shot all them times, right? 9 times. Look how big he got from surviving that. So I'm sure taking a stab wound back then is the equivalent of being 50 Cent back then.
But you don't want to flaunt it. But 50 Cent not doing all that well now. I'll think about it. I'll contract somebody if I need to. I'll pull a Bobby Barcelona and get shot in the ass. Talking about the Sopranos. But yeah, I think that, because what does he say to her? He says, sometimes it's about, doing something that people think is impossible in giving them hope. And Dany looks at him because, okay, and he goes, and you've done that. But if you go and burn castles, then you're not doing anything different. And then she's like, oh, and she takes that, all sentimental. And then she goes, burns the shit out of everything. So I'm saying that she still has a lesson to learn.
She does.
And I've heard that Kit Harington cried when he was reading the script. So I have to assume it's not him dying unless he's just a sociopath.
When you look at the lesson, when you see everything that Jon Snow is going through, that he is learning, he's following the footsteps of Stannis, right? Everything he's doing, Stannis has already done. And all in the books, these victories that Jon's having right now are Stannis Baratheon's victories in the books. So when you look at this, what Stannis had to learn was that he had to fight for the realm, not for the throne. That's what he has to learn. That's what Jon has learned. He's not fighting for the throne. He's fighting for the realm. He doesn't care about it. This is what Dany hasn't learned yet. She hasn't done that big sacrifice of herself or anything like that. She thinks the throne is hers by right, that she just deserves it from her blood right. She has to learn that she has to learn that same lesson that Jon has learned, that she has to fight for the realm to get the throne, and she's going to sacrifice herself. Now, there's a good possibility, Dany fans out there, I know, that she could survive it. I would hate for it to go down like that, but we have seen her with a certain tolerance towards fire. So who knows? When it goes through it, who knows if she can come back or she gets the kiss of life. Jon breathes the kiss of life in her after she dies and brings her back, and he dies at the end. and gives it up, and she raises the baby. So who knows what happens when this all happens? But you know, there's a couple of possibilities. But one possibility I do see, I think that's definitely going to happen, is that she's got to die, because you've seen in the visions of the House of Undying that they showed in this show, when she reaches out for the throne covered in snow, that is Longclaw. There's no doubt about it. She doesn't touch it. That's Longclaw. Then she turns around and then she walks out, and then she's immediately beyond the wall with Khal Drogo. So it is saying that for the throne, you're going to have to die. You're going to die. You're not going to get the throne, but you're going to die. When you're dead, these are your dead family members right here. You're going to join them. So that's what's going to happen. What's going to make you die? The events at the wall is going to make you have to die to join Khal Drogo and your family. So if you don't get the throne, something at the wall is going to make you have to die so you can get the Khal Drogo and your son.
Yeah, I think that's well said. I mean, it's essentially that she has, I mean, because John is already to the George Washington, the old shucks, I guess I'll do it. He's fallen into every position. He is a little bit ambitious, but he's definitely learned his lesson. He's a great uniter. You know, he's seen the bigger picture. You know, and he's already made a sacrifice. It just is not going to have as much of a kick if he dies again. We're going to be like, well, that motherfucker dies all the time. I'm talking about, we were looking at this in a basic bitch way. Like, how is like the people that at least, you know, probably at this point, a few hundred people are probably convinced to fucking watch the show that sit at the dinner table, you know, they just want to see a fun ending, you know, and that's who they're trying to appeal to. Unfortunately, we probably aren't their base demographic, but yeah, I think that Dany is, like you said, is she's gonna die for the throne, but not for her to you know, obviously have it. She's gonna die to, you know, assure that the throne is held by somebody of substance and somebody that's going to do right by the people. As far as, you know, I think there's no way that she's not having kids. It seems like they forgot to foreshadow it for the whole series, and then they just dropped it all in one episode. So it seems like she's definitely having a kid, and I can see her dying in childbirth. It really doesn't matter, I guess, how she dies. I'm a betting man, and I would just bet she does. I don't want her to die, so nobody hate on me. It's not like, oh, he hates Dany. It's not like that. It's just looking at the narrative, what makes sense. Jon already died. It doesn't have as much of a kick for the viewers. It doesn't work as well. Dany dying works better because Jon is the reluctant leader, and also more so the child that they will have together will be the true leader that can transition them into something like Tony was talking about earlier. But what I do want to ask you is, what does Jon learning about his heritage do to advance, you know, like his to advance what he's trying to accomplish, other than just like make it weird for the person he's having sex with? Like, what does that do? Like, what is Jon learning that I get it. I like that whole twist, and I like it. But like, what does it really do? Like, you know what I mean, for the story, for Jon to find out?
I think what happens here is that when you look at Jon Snow, to me, when I look at Jon Snow, I look at the character of him. To me, he is, if you read the Dunk and Egg books, he is both of those characters combined, right? He's the fighter that Dunk was, but he's what Egg was, right? Egg, what did Egg do? Egg went around as a common person, learned what it was like to be a common person, but it was really was a prince and became the king. This is the same thing with Jon's going through. Jon is a fighter like Dunk was, but he has a fantasy about going to the wall, just like Dunk had a fantasy about being a knight and just being knights, but Jon's fantasy was going to the wall. And he was just really a person that's really a king, but walked around as a bastard his whole life, was treated like a bastard. So he has this dilemma inside of him that he's just a bastard. He's no good, doesn't want to have kids because he doesn't want his kids to be a bastard. So I think that him knowing that he wasn't a bastard all along would just give him a little bit more oomph in his step. You know what I mean? A little bit more pep in his step. I think that's all it can really do. I think that a lot of people think that Jon Snow is going to say, oh, I'm going to be a Stark in the end. There's no reason to keep this whole Targaryen secret and then in the end have Jon say, well, I'm still a Stark. He's going to be recognized as a Targaryen. He's going to recognize himself as a Targaryen. That's the reason why it's a secret, all that. And I think it's more quite possibly to get maybe Rally. When you look at the show, it's so more condensed, but in the books, it's a lot bigger. So to Rally, when you have Aegon in the books pretending to be a Targaryen, You're gonna need a real Targaryen to take that down, like Jon is gonna, and to rally Dorne on his side and people like that. We don't have that in the show. We just really have the North that they're focusing on, and a couple of people out there in the Vale and all that. So it really won't matter as much. But I think that's what would help him when it comes down to the Blackfires or people like that, and down there in the books, when he's more of a, when they see that he has Targaryen blood and he is the true Song of Ice and Fire.
Well, yeah, and I agree. I think that's the only thing that it can serve to the narrative, and it's a pretty important thing because it's one of the main messages about you should be raised upon merit, not about blood. So all these people that saw this bastard as they saw it, rise, they saw this guy that they didn't see had, because back in a feudalistic society, that you were, it was God given that you were the leader, and that's the way these people think. So they're like, how can this person be doing this? So they see what they see as a bastard defying all the odds, and then they see it, what now that's going to twist on them. So I guess they'll have the turn and they'll be shocked like we were with Ned, if you weren't a book reader, and they'll be like, holy shit, the guy wasn't, he was actually the rightful heir to the throne. So it will delegitimize that stigma behind the bastard, and there will be no more snow, sands, rivers, whatever the what is it in the Vale? It's the stone. Yeah, stones. I think it'll get rid of all that, because Jon was, look, they'll see somebody that was, lived as a bastard his whole life, and he was able to accomplish what he was able to accomplish, and it'll just take away that stigma. It'll make them switch it up. Because I say this, and it's kind of a correlation with Westworld too. I bring this up a lot. It's not what you are. Who you are is not what you are. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just like him finding out as Targaryen isn't just going to have him change the way he thinks, and he's not going to start thinking like a Targaryen. He's not going to start being like, I wonder if I can go in this really hot bath and see how that works. You know what I mean? He is who he is, who he's made himself. What he is, with DNA and all that bullshit doesn't matter. It's about merit. I do see always bringing up at least very sometimes pretty intense arguments here. Alexandra, I love you. You've asked a few times, are you not really asked, you're just saying that and again, this is all subjective, so nobody's right or wrong here. You think that it makes more sense for Jon to die. See, I'm just going to argue with that, because of what we've been saying is that Dany has come over here because she believes it's her, even look, up until this last season, she wants Jon to kneel for her. She talks about breaking the wheel, but she's still coming over here and demanding her throne by feudalistic right, by blood right. She needs to still complete her arc. Jon has gone through it. So I just think narratively it makes far more sense. It has more kick, has more bite to it for the fans. I mean, Jon could die. You could be right. And yes, dying in childbirth is anticlimactic, but it's also history repeating itself, because you have Jon's mom who died, Lyanna Stark. History repeating itself is, you have to look at reoccurring themes. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying that this is what I base my decisions off of. Reoccurring themes in the narrative and what we've been told, not what the books have said, but what the show has said. We're talking about just the show right now. So I do think it's very likely she will die in childbirth, giving birth to twins or just one child. Jon will take away the stigma from, being bastardized. And that's just my take. But yeah, I've ate my words before. They tasted pretty good, so I didn't give a fuck.
Mia, if you could have the best ending, I think if you have the best ending that would shock everybody, that made people hate it, that would make people love it, I would have Jon Snow marry Cersei Lannister at the end of this whole shit. And that would be how you see it. Jon Snow married to Cersei Lannister. It would wrap everything up. It would show that marriage, you can't marry for love in a society like this. There's just no way around it. And it would lock down all three major houses in marriage, in one marriage alliance. And we always see all the big marriage alliance. We would finally have, it's like in the War of the Roses, when you have the two roses combined, we would have a sigil with all three major houses that started this whole mess would all be locked down. Jon wouldn't be happy. Cersei would be happy. People wouldn't be happy, but that's the world they live in.
Yeah, I'm not very happy about a lot of things. And I see somebody bringing up, and and again, I'm just trying to catch, like, the ins and outs of this conversation, but that the Targs, have only been, ruling for 300 some years when it's been, a feudalistic system for 1,000 years, over 1,000 years. That's correct. But it doesn't matter. It's not her being a Targaryen that matters. It's her approaching it in the feudalistic blood right to the throne. It could be an Aaron. It could be a Storm King. It could be a Grey. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. That it's not about being a Targaryen or not. In my opinion, it's just about the way Dany is approaching the situation is the issue. In the one of the themes of the story, is to obviously show that it should be merit over blood right, that you earn, and Jon has had to earn what he's done, and he's paid for what he's done. And again, he's not going to be happy being. And the one thing too, the next thing I want to bring up with you, Tony, is the thing is I think we get caught up because it's like I don't know what they did with their marketing. It wasn't even that clever, but it's like it's going to be a bittersweet ending. We're like, oh my god, what does that mean? I can't even think of a show that didn't have a bittersweet ending, like a good show in the recent years that wasn't a bit like every show has a bittersweet ending. Nothing's ever like, and then everybody that was good won and everybody that was bad died. That stopped a long fucking time ago. I'm not saying the show is bad for it, but I think for some reason, and I'm guilty of it, I'm like, ooh, what does that mean? What does that mean? And then I'm watching like, even Black Sails, bittersweet ending. Every single show of substance, bittersweet. I mean, no writers like, and then everything was great. Even Lord of the Rings, it's bittersweet in my opinion. I mean, come on. So I think that, I don't know. I mean, good, bravo to them. The Justin Thomas show has a bittersweet ending. Think about it, guys.
Yeah, people have taken that and ran with that so much. Oh my god, this ending's gonna be fucking bitter, fucking sweet, man. You understand? Bitter, fucking sweet. Yeah, I mean, I think the only ending that wasn't bittersweet was maybe the Jeffersons, maybe the Facts of Life. I even think Natalie, I think, took it in the Facts of Life. I think even that was a little bittersweet.
It was Facts of Life was all bitter. That was a bitter ass show.
You know what I mean? That's just the way it is. It's all bittersweet. People just, they focus on stuff. You know what I mean? Need something to focus on because they want so badly for the prince to kiss Snow White and for her to wake up and just sit and not just be happy after they want so badly. And he's just trying to prepare them to say it's not going to be that. You should already know that, but let me prepare you anyway in case that's what you get so you're not disappointed. I'm telling you what it's going to be like right now. So when you don't see that, don't come screaming at me like I didn't warn you. I think that's why he put it out there.
Lowered expectations. I think that's what it's about right there. Yeah. I think bittersweet might be another word for it's not going to be all that great. It's going to be, what it is. I'm glad somebody else agrees. And Snow White, isn't that pretty much just a date rape story? It's just all Disney movies are fucked up.
Yeah. Man. It's like Chappelle said, Pepe Le Pew's a fucking rapist. He's a rapist. And there's no doubt about it. He just goes out there and chases that cat down and grabs her up and puts the lips on her. Bugs Bunny is cross-dresser back in the day. You know what I mean? Ain't nothing wrong with it. You know what I mean? But that's how he gets down. He's bisexual. Bugs Bunny is definitely bisexual. He's been all over Elmer Fudd. All over him.
Yeah. Do you think they were ever like telling the cartoonists or like make the bunny a little rapey? A little bit more rapey. He's not rapey enough. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, Walt Disney was a huge piece of shit. I mean, that's not even controversial to say, but we're all for the gender neutral storylines.
Old Tex Avery and his racist cartoons and all this that was put out back then. There's a reason why they all got censored. But if you look at all the things that was put back there, a lot of terrible things were put in cartoons back in the day.
Listen, he was just a white guy that diversity wasn't for him. It just wasn't for him. Okay. He was just a guy that didn't take to it. Real huge piece of shit. Yeah. But hey, people loved it. They're like, it's magical. He's like, I'm a huge bastard. But yeah, hey, let's keep doing it. Let's keep showing our kids that. So and now they're running Star Wars. So let's see if that gets rapey. Nobody liked The Last Jedi. It'll get worse when it's like the last Harvey Weinstein story. But anyways, okay, we'll move on past Disney being a corrupt rape enthusiast, based company, and go into what do we think the chances are of the Night King getting fleshed out. I'm going to throw something out there, and everybody's going to just probably freak out on me. I think that they might not even defeat the Night King. I think the moral of it might be that Cersei is not going to comply, that he is going to gain so many more people because of it, because they already foreshadowed what would happen with King's Landing, and the Golden Company is going to side with the North and everybody else that's not Cersei, and they're going to learn that they just need to band together, and he's almost just like a learning tool. Like he's like hooked on phonics for like not being a fucking idiot. I don't see I don't know. Do you see a scene with him being like, actually, Tony, the reason I'm here is because of this. I want Sam's kid. He doesn't talk. He's not in the books. They haven't gave us any indication of what they could want. He's just a hurdle they need to jump over. And I think the lesson is how they will have to accomplish jumping that hurdle. I agree with you. We were talking before about, Jamie becoming the 1,000. I can't say it. Lord Commander. Dolores head will die, and I think that he'll bring honor to that system, and I think that they'll learn to band together because Cersei will be the one that sticks in bitch mode and doesn't comply, and then everybody that wasn't getting along is just going to automatically just have to band together. And I don't really think that's his what the Night King's trying to do. He's not like, well, we're going to rally up so these guys will learn some hard lessons. I just think it's going to be the way it is. I don't think we're going to get some definitive ending to that. I don't know. I just don't see it. We have 6 episodes. How much exposition are we going to get? How much Brand 3000 is going to explain some bullshit to us? I'll take it, Teflon.
I think there will be a twist with the Night's King ending. I definitely will get that. I don't know how much of a backstory that we're going to get of everything else, but there will be a twist with him not being the as evil or the person. It's got to be something going on with him. George Martin has always said that it's just not going to be some evil people coming from these lands, it's attacking human race. There's something else going on there. I don't think they're going to go into great detail on it. It's just going to be a twist. If he has a different identity or something and they can reveal that, that's a big enough twist for them. But there's something else going on with the Night King. So I think we'll get something like that. But I don't think we'll get a whole backstory of everything else. You're not going to see him as a Lord Commander chasing a female white.
He's not the 13th Lord Commander, you son of a bitch.
You're never going to see nothing like that. But you may, if it's an identity or something like that, you'll get a reveal that way. But
haven't we already got that? Do you think that they think that shouldn't we be a little empathetic towards him already? Because the Children of the Forest, who are MIA, again, they caused this shit. Now they're just gone. They shoved the fucking stone into his heart. Shouldn't we be a little empathetic towards him? And then we built a wall.
So I think that they wanted that to be the Night's King, but they made it ambiguous that he could not, because when Bran sees the vision and he comes back, he says, it doesn't say you created the Night's King. He comes back and says you created the White Walkers. And when you look at the picture that when Jon Snow shows the long night and they show the Night's King, that Night's King has a beard. This Night's King has no beard. So it's 2 different people. So it could be that Night's King, may not be, you know what I mean? So, or that's just a White Walker, the trial run of the White Walkers that they were creating. And then they could have a different reason to have the Night's King who could do all this super warging ability, because this warging ability, the ability that we see anybody else have, only one we see that's really able to warg any type of humans or anything like that we've seen so far is Bran or anything like that. So he seems to have a supernatural ability that the other White Walkers just don't have, that they could walk that many at one time. It seems like, you know what I mean?
Do you think there's a chance that when he grabbed Bran's arm that he was just trying to say, hey, dude, I'm actually not a bad guy, and then Bran ran away like a bitch? There's no chance of that.
He did run away. He didn't forcibly attack him. He didn't rush him. We've seen the whites rush. And I said this in my video. You've never seen a white put no physical damage on Bran, ever. You've never seen them try to hurt Bran. They try
or John.
Yeah, you never see that. They try to get to him. They're hurting the people around them. But you never see them grab him. When he's walking around in that dream, you have to look at the whole thing. He goes from his tree where he's at, crawls over the Blood Raven's tree, touches that branch. So he goes into Bloodraven's dream, but Bloodraven's nowhere to be found. And he's walking through all these corpses and everything else. They're not even responding. They're not moving. They're not doing anything. And then the Night's King touches him. So if it was anyone else, I would think obviously the Night's King could see him. So the whites must be able to see him. Everyone must know they see him. He doesn't realize anyone can see him until the Night's King touches him. But they all can see him, but they don't attack him. So it's something going on there. There's got to be a reason why that's left like that.
Yeah, because because that's a valid point. If he is his, if that is his demise, if Bran is his, his Excalibur, you know what I mean? Like the one that can stop him, his arch enemy, he's gonna fucking kill him. If they could obviously he can make contact with him. He had a whole army, and skinny weirdo Bran was just walking amongst them, and he just grabbed him by his arm. He's probably saying, "Hey, do you know a doctor? Some people put a stone in my heart, and I need to get it out." I mean, obviously that's not it, but yeah, I mean, it's a valid point. He's shown, if Bran is such a threat to him, which we are led to believe that we're probably going to see, and that it's going to bring me to my next point. Are we going to see this like Professor X-esque mind battle? I see it going that way. The few main theories that are floating around are we're going to see him being warging a dragon, are just kind of like hindering the Night King by getting in his mind and kind of having a battle of the minds, because George isn't gonna write because George wasn't an athletic guy, so like Jamie isn't a hero, John's not gonna be the main hero, it's gonna be the shutaway Bran, you know what I mean, that's gonna win it. So it's gonna be it's not gonna be a battle of force, it's gonna be a battle of intelligence, or what I don't know if you can call that intelligence, a battle of being able to handle your acid trip well, Bran. But yeah, it's gonna be a battle of whatever, wargame in some way. Now there's also the theory that he's gonna go back and change everything. He's going to like rewind everything. So Ned is back and everything. I think that's absolute bullshit. Any thoughts on that? Out of the warg battle between him and the Night King, the warg battle between him and Viserion, the Turned Dragon, are the Bran 3000 rewinds the tape on everything. What do you think is most likely?
The most likely one would be him battling the Night's King, like a scanners type battle. Would be most likely fighting, like him trying to take control of the undead army, the whites themselves, and turn them against the Night's King or something like that. Would be more than him doing anything else physically or anything else like that. The other stuff is definitely not going to happen. There's no way that it's possible for that to happen. It's just not the story. It's not built like that. It's built for Jon Snow to fight him one-on-one. There's no reason to set up Jon Snow as a fighter and then have the actor that played Sir Arthur Dane as the Night's King if you're not going to have the epic sword battle between them. There's no need to have Ramsay Bolton say, you might be the greatest fighter in all of Westeros. You're not going to have that. You're not going to have all these trial by combats from season one-on-one battles.
No Clegane Bowl. I am just calling no Clegane Bowl.
First thing you see when the White Walkers kill in the books, when he killed Waymar Royce, you see what it is. It's a one-on-one battle. They step back and they respect the old
dance. Rules. Yeah,
so
much more.
No way that it's not going down. You've already seen Jon Snow try to challenge Ramsay. We don't have to have all these people fight. It's me and you one-on-one. Same shit's going down. Whether Bran Snow is the one to convey this message and get him to understand this is what's going to go down. Just Jon Snow is going to pull his sword out and point it at him like Babe Ruth and into the out there and call his shot. And Night's King is going to get down there and respectfully go down there. Even what was that movie? Even in I like that movie too. It didn't do good in the box office. The Postman, with Kevin Costner.
Yeah, that didn't do good. He's like, I'll be a mailman.
Yeah, but he got the challenge. The guy in the clan in the end, one-on-one battle. That is what people in that type, and that was a world that went back to the feudal way. In that society, when it comes down to it, even in Troy, when you see Troy, it's the one-on-one battle. In the end, you have to have that. It's being set up for that. That's what we got to get. So Bran, can't help in that way. The only other way Bran can really help would be to control the army of the undead, to try to get it to that point where Jon can get that battle.
Yeah, Bran has to be influential. He has to play. I mean, they've already set up what I'm just referring to as the mothership rule. is if you take down, because Beric Dondarrion, so not so lightly, not so pretty heavy-handedly saying, we just need to kill him because he's the one that turned them all. So it's kind of like a mothership situation. Shoot down the mothership that's controlling them all, and they all go down. Yeah, so I totally agree with that. And in this, I love what you just said because I'm huge on watching, and I always say that, and I will break down trailers as well. But trailers are always, it's all out of context. You can't learn that much. Promotional pictures are promotional pictures. They don't mean shit other than what the designer told them to wear. They're like, ooh, Arya's wearing different clothes. What do you think that means? I'm like, I think the costume designer probably told her to put those on. That's what I think happened. But you brought up how that actor, he was actually in Black Sails as well. He's very gifted in at least stage sword fighting. As we saw, as they had him dual wield. So yes, why would they have him? Why? And they switched it. It's not like he's always been the guy. They switched it so it is him. They don't do that because number one, that guy costs more money than the other guy. It's not just like, well, this will be fun to pay more money. You know what I mean? They're already paying out the ass. So there's reasons for this stuff. Casting, you can learn so much more than you can off of any of these trailers and all this wild speculation or reading plot leaks that you say are fake, but you're still going to read them or doing anything like that.
You don't cast Elvis Presley in your movie and not have him sing. You don't do that. You don't put Beyonce in the movie and not have it. This is the reason why these people do it. This is the reason why you're paying them this money.
Well, he could do karate though, and I don't like that. I think the Elvis to hold his own. He could do karate, Tony.
Well,
in all fairness,
same birthday as Elvis, so I'm a big Elvis fan. So yes, Elvis is the man. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
This is what I mean. I don't know if he could fight Dolomite. I think Dolomite would have whooped him, but in a karate fight, but I would like to see that battle go down. That would have been a great battle. Elvis Presley versus Dolomite in the Kung Fu battle.
Well, what I think the best thing about that battle is, Tony, the ending would be bittersweet. Can you imagine? There's nothing else like it. Like nothing else before. Bittersweet.
Bittersweet. I had to think about that. Oh my god.
Oh my god, I'm freaking out about it. Yes, Game of Thrones is still going to be very good, people. Okay. So I think that I think we're pretty much on the same page. And like I said, this is our first interaction, so I'm happy to see that you look at things like facts and you're like, hey, that has to be like that because it's a fact. Not like, well, I don't know, it'd be fun if this happened, or I really want to see Clegane Bowl because that's hype. Whatever. But again, and I get pissed, but I say it's all about having fun and it's all about connecting about the show. How you choose to connect is your own choice. I do enjoy that you look at the casting and stuff like that. But let's since we're talking about all the things that aren't happening, that won't happen because they're book only. Do you think? I was just having a discussion with somebody I did a podcast with. I did the way off topic podcast, which definitely holds its name. I was definitely way off topic. I had a good time, but definitely we just shot the shit about everything. But we did start talking about, I don't even know if we recorded it, but it was like, my idea is there's no way that George has, because some people believe George has the books done and he's withholding them. Number one, I don't think, and the idea is that HBO has control. HBO, I've tried to find out any contract information I can. It doesn't seem like he would have any control over those publishing houses, HBO. And I don't think it makes any sense for George not to at least release Wins a Winner. He wins either way. It's not like he's going to wait for them to fail and then release, and the books are going to be so much better. People are always going to say the books are better. The only shirt that sells on my Teespring that sells like in a decent amount is a shirt that says it's better in the books at every book reader ever, because it's true. People like to say, well, I read a book. And it usually is better in the book because you can flesh it out better. Do you think there's a chance that George R.R. Martin is actually holding back? Because he has not been that supportive of the series. He has stopped doing quite a bit of media for them. He was tweeting about The Last Kingdom the whole last season. Like literally the night it was on, he was tweeting about what could be looked at as direct competition and how good it is.
It does not matter how he feels whatsoever. He already signed and cashed that check. Once you get paid, it's over. That's it. Once you give it up, you can be as mad as you want, how they adapted or whatever. But you gave them that money that you have no say over it. Listen, if you go to McDonald's and you give them whatever you give them and say, I want the recipe to the Big Macs, and they give you the recipe and you find out that they changed an ingredient, what do you think is going to happen? McDonald's getting sued for everything. Yeah. For everything. It's McDowell's now, right? You own it. It's over. Done deal. So,
but you're not saying that the show owns the rights to release because what I'm saying, the show has no say on when George releases those books.
No, not.
Are you?
I'm
You're in
sorry.
agreement, right?
You know, they have no say, but he can release whatever he wants when he wants. What I'm saying is that the ending itself, he did not withhold. The way it ends is the way it's going to end in the books for the main characters. He's not withholding anything special. No, if Jon Snow dies this way, this goes out like this, that's what you're going to see.
Yeah.
It's not going to be something different like people are going to say. Jon Snow's parentage is not going to be different in the books than what you already seen.
There's some pretty big channels that are going to argue with you about that, Tony, and they're going to be pretty upset.
That's not really an argument. That's just people.
I know.
They're just trying to grasp straws to stuff that they want to hold. Sometimes you gotta let shit go. You know what I mean? Sometimes you gotta let shit go. There's a lot of people out there that say that think they're hung, but when they see someone who really is, they realize they're not. Sometimes you gotta let shit go. There are a lot of people out there that think they're tough guys until they get knocked the fuck out. Then you gotta let shit go. Unfortunately, it takes extreme situations like that to make people let shit go. And when they have the chance to let shit go, they don't want to. There's no need to be embarrassed. Just let the shit go. You already know, fight another fight. There's nothing wrong with being wrong. It's okay to be wrong.
I think there's a big misconception with the way they think in distinguishing between being clever and just being different and shocking. They think clever is just being different. You know, I'm going against the grain. So I'm clever. It's like, nope, you're just not following any type of structure or anything that makes any type of feasible sense. It's not like it's not possible, but is it plausible?
No, and the whole thing is that George, he does leave hints of things that could happen, and that is due because he changes his story, changes ideas. So you might see threads of stuff. It's like he wanted Jon Snow to get with Arya. So you might see hints of Jon being a little bit closer to Arya than other people because he had that in mind. But he changed it. So there may be certain hints of certain things that maybe he was going to go a certain route, but you see the route he went. So and you have to just go with that and just accept it and move on. That's what it is. That's the way. The whole thing is. There's nothing wrong with being wrong because you didn't write the shit. People take shit too personal. There's no need to be personal about it. Take a guess. I mean, I've predicted the New York Jets would win the Super Bowl for 10 years in a row. I've been wrong for 10 years in a row. All right. But I still predicted one of these motherfucking years we're gonna get there. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna be right. I can't stop now. I got 10 years built up in this motherfucker. So
you're pot committed.
I understand that plot. I understand that when people go that route, I understand that. But I do it in jest. I do it as fun. I'm not serious about it. You know what I mean? That's the difference.
Yeah, and you're not. You get pot committed, and you just might have to. I mean, that's you don't want to get to the point where you're going to some motherfucking meetings in church basements. That's when it gets sick. When you go for those 12 steps. But the thing is that he told at that lunch that he had that he decided to give these rather. I'm not going to down on him. Let's just say novice, as far as the grand scheme of things, when he was choosing who was going to adapt his unadaptable, purposely written to be unadaptable for screen television series to two guys that really haven't worked on too much. We could hypothetically have like a Ned Stark with his mouth sewed shut fighting Jon Snow on top of a fucking tower at the end of this, if we go with what their body of work. But here's the thing. The broad strokes are there. So we've seen what Dan and Dave have done when they only have the broad strokes, because the way when you do write, a screenplay is you write your broad strokes and then you fill in how you get there. They no longer had how you get there. And what you said, I can't imagine they had a contract that would allow George to withhold or allow them to make him withhold from the public. And that was my argument. It was a friendly argument, but it just didn't make sense to me. And it's a good discussion because some people think that he is withholding. It's like, number one, I think he wrote himself into a corner in Essos a long time ago and he's trying to write himself out. And I think other people that have never, and I'm not claiming to be some great screenwriter, have written some one-act plays and bullshit like that, but it's a human being writing a story. He gets stuck. Like you said, he was going to have Jon hook up with Arya. That's like been out there. So if that doesn't humanize the guy or even make him semi-suspicious, what does? You know what I mean? That's where he was going.
Also, when you gotta look at George R. R. Martin. I don't know the man personally, right? I have no. I'm just looking at this. Me looking at from the outside looking in. You know, when you have success, he's a successful man his whole life, but not as successful as this has taken off. He's put all these books out and done all that. But when the show came out, this level of success, this level of scrutiny put so much pressure on you. You could see it with David Chappelle when he had his show in the Chappelle show. When you get that contract and you get that, the expectations to perform, they go up so much. A lot of people, they say they want it, but when you get it, a lot of people sometimes sabotage themselves because they're afraid to fail, and they would rather sabotage themselves on their own than their work get discredited that they put their heart into. So I'm not saying that that's exactly what's going on with you. I don't know what's in his heart, but I'm saying when you get that level, it's harder to write, because now I write, and when I write stuff, what I do, and which is a bad habit of mine, is I write something, and then before I start writing again, I reread what I wrote, and then I start rewriting what I wrote, and then it's hard for me to keep continuing. Now, I don't know if that's his style of writing. Maybe it's not. But if it is, and he's writing all these words, he could be going back and rereading again and changing a little something again, changing a little something here, changing a little something there. It's hard to keep the progress going forward. You know what I mean? Not saying that's how he writes. That's what I do, and I got to get out of that. But that's what happens certain times. Maybe other people go through it too and stuff. So he has a level of pressure, a level of expectation I don't think he had before, when it was just him just doing what he wanted to do, free flowing. Now he's got people that he's trying to please and everything else. So I think that's what's slowing him down also.
Yeah, he went from, you're absolutely right. He went from a cult following to just a worldwide phenomenon. You know what I mean? An example I always use is like when series, that's why I say that we, unfortunately, in this, there's marketing studies. I am relate to what you're just saying, because not only do I do it with my writing, but I do it with my videos. I start making videos and I stop because I'm like, I haven't changed my mind about this. But I started doing a video recently looking at marketing studies showing how they not only use YouTubers like us, but people, just average fans, like, you know, people that just tweet about it, are now, you know, embedded in the marketing campaign, because there used to be commercials where it was like, this guy uses this product and all that. It's like, we sell the shit out of this for him. But unfortunately, the people that sold it for him at first, we sold it to so many people. It's when you get outside of your high fantasy base that you really start making money. Captain America is always, Civil War is always the example I use. A lot of people, like, not just like Marvel fans, not comic book fans, like people's uncles, people's, you know what I mean? Parents went and saw that movie, like outside of the comic base, outside of the comic book movie base. You know what I mean? Not comic books, outside of the people who just go see the movies, which is already outside of the cult following. So when you get that just grand spectrum, that's when you become hyper successful. And now George is dealing with that. So yeah, I mean, no matter if you deal with it, I deal with that as well. And double guessing yourself is one of the worst things you can do with writing, because you're just never going to get anything done. But it's unfortunately an issue that most people deal with. That's why you need an editor to take your pages away from you and be like, can't touch it anymore, Tony. You know what I mean? We'll deal with it. You literally need, it's so vital to have a writing partner with you, because it's like, hey, motherfucker, like, rip it away from you, because you're never going to think, unless you're just a sociopath. Like, very few people are like, this is the best goddamn thing I've ever done. You know what I mean? And it's usually, those are the people that's usually shit. So yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, shows that you have a little bit of character, but you have to, it's almost like you gotta accept what it is.
I'll give you an example real quick about exactly what you said. My aunt and my grandmother, Jehovah's Witnesses, right? The whole life, the live and die, my whole family, most of my family is. They went to see Black Panther. Do you think they went to see Thor? Do you think they went to see Spider-Man? Do you think they went to see any comic book movie ever in their life? But they went to see Black Panther. So when you have that level of people, you have a grandmother, my mama out there talking to me about Wakanda forever, right? Jehovah's Witness woman, right? When you have this going down, it's a different level. That's why Black Panther, I'm scared for the second movie, because there's so much expectation now for it. It's going to be hard to reduplicate that. It's hard. Like The Sixth Sense, M. Night Shyamalan, he's never gotten that back. It's hard. Look at that ending. Can't reduplicate that. But when your next movie, people are looking for that. When you look at the Saw franchise, that ending was a great ending. You can't reduplicate that, but they've tried and they've tried. You just can't get that back. So that is a huge problem when it goes down. So George is in that situation right now, I believe. I have 100% confidence in him because I just think all he has to do, when it's all said and done, is just stick to your guns and stick what got you there. And don't worry about anybody else. And just do what got you there and it'll be fine.
I mean, yeah, we can't get inside his head. He obviously is. I mean, because the guy, I mean, anybody that just says he's holding back, it's like his publishers. Yeah, I mean, this is a business. It's not like everybody's just making money off that show. The publishers most likely have no money in that show. They're not allowing him to miss those deadlines willy-nilly. They're not like, well, that's okay. It's better for D&D. They don't give a fuck about them. They're fuck them. Put out wins, man. You know, I do want to ask, are they going door to door, not to down on the religion, and asking the people if they've heard about Wakanda? I had to throw it out there.
I hope so. God damn it! I wish they would.
I know nothing about the religion. I know all I know is that they're known for going door to door. But that's all I know.
When I was young, I did the door to door stuff. You had to do that. That's what
that made you such a great public speaker.
God says, you know, so you had to do that. So yeah, I did that, and they've done that. But I wish they would go door to door for Wakanda and stuff like that. That would be great. I put that on my channel. They did that. You know, I would love to see them do that.
But yeah, that's an excellent example of it. It's so far out the base. It's like no way was that marketing campaign like we got to get the Jehovah Witnesses. How does this play with the Jehovah Witnesses? Get the test group in here. You know, I mean, there's no way that shit was going down. That's not how business works.
No, when you get that. So you also look at George's situation right now, right? So he has been doing. He has told them this is the way this book is going to end. It's already inked. The ink is dry. The page is written. Now, what if this ending comes out and people panic? He still has to end it like this. He can't change it. He can't change it. If he changes it, he's going to get sued because he's already told them this is the way it's going to end. So it's hard to be in that situation. It's really hard to be there. I mean, obviously, it's going to be a couple of different situations because we have different characters. But the main characters that truly matter how the story ends are in the show now. If they're not in the show, they don't truly matter for the ending of the show. They're just you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you're a rock hard guy, you don't need a fluffer. You know what I mean? You know, some people need fluffers. You know what I mean? It is what it is, and the fluffers are
those of you that don't know. Fluffers are people that are on porn sites that keep the actors active. Yeah, but no, I get what you're saying. Now I will say that I can't say without a doubt because we don't know, and I've tried to find out. I would think that there's a lot of validity to what you're saying, that he probably isn't allowed to change the broad strokes, but we probably can't say for sure that that's in the contract unless we see it, because contracts are what they are. Now that would make sense, but you know, I mean, he does have artistic license as well, since he's he gave them a gift in a way. I think the bigger issue with that is it's so unlikely for him to do it because that's his master plan. He can't deviate from it. It's just getting to it. He saw how Dan and Dave, they're like, we got to turn a dragon and we got to get that wall down. They're like, how do you want to do it? They're like, let's do it as stupid as possible. Let's break as many of our own rules. Let's make it so it makes no sense, piss off a lot of faithful fans, and just do some old fashioned bad writing. They're like, you talking about X-Men Origins? He's like, bam, X-Men Origins. Let's X-Men Origins it up. Stupid Scooby-Doo shit. And just make it happen. We see how when they have to walk their own path to that destination, how that path is walked. And it's not walked. It's done on a jetpack. And it's done on a whole bunch of bullshit. So, you know, I would more say that we can't for sure just say that he's not able to change it. But I just think that, you know, it would be so inconvenient for him to do, and he's already in his own head. You know what I mean? We don't know if they agreed to.
No, we cannot for sure say Harvey Weinstein did anything. We cannot for sure say that OJ killed Nicole. We cannot for sure say a lot of different things, but we can make general observations.
I'm just saying, and I'm so happy that you brought up that Weinstein thing, because that, you know, thank God somebody else feels that way. You know, who knows? Somebody said he was a good guy. It's just, you know, it's he said, she said, she said, she said, she said, she said. Yeah, obviously. Yeah, I agree with you. It's pretty obvious that it's going to stay the same. And it's pretty obvious for any of you that don't get my dry sense of humor yet that I'm not a fan of Harvey fucking Weinstein. All right. So I have somebody in the chat be like, that motherfucker likes Harvey Weinstein. So yeah, my dry sense of humor is not coming across.
This dude, Harvey, this shower thing, he just doesn't look like a man that should take his clothes off in front of a woman in the shower. I mean, I've been in the shower with women, you know, and yeah, I'm not, you know, the greatest. I'm not, the, you know, I'm not the Rock here. You know what I mean? So, but I look better than him. God damn it. You know, and that's not the first thing I say when I mean that's not my go-to line. Let's jump in the shower. That's not what I use. I got other things I use way before the shower. The shower thing comes way after. That's a couple of months. It's months down the road. This is his go-to move. This is like Hulk Hogan's leg drop. This is Macho Man's elbow.
The shower is once you're already sick of the bed. The bed should already be boring to you, so the shower is the next step. That's the point of him being gross and having money, so nobody tells him he's gross, because he has a lot of yes men around him. He's like, should I just undress in front of people in the middle of business meetings so they're conflicted because they're not sure if this is a job interview or them being sexually fucking like assaulted? And they're like, yeah, oh yeah, Harvey, that's the way to do it. That's the business. You know, yeah, it's just a piece of shit with a lot of smaller pieces of shit around him, and they all floated to the top for a while. And now they're finally getting sunk. But yes, it's not appropriate to just undress in front of people and be like, what do you think? Let's go at, especially when you're like 400 pounds overweight. So, and it's never acceptable. I don't even think The Rock should do it. And I don't think he does. I think The Rock is a classy guy. And I'm actually a little bit upset that you would even incite that The Rock would do something like that, Tony.
Now, listen, The Rock's a professional wrestler. A lot of things go down in them wrestling dressing rooms, let me tell you. So he's the most popular movie star out there, but don't think The Rock ain't got a bunch of bones in this closet. Believe me.
Nancy T says, "Oh, you are sexy, you know it, Teflon." See, Nancy, don't do that though, because I'm a little bit afraid.
What was that? What was the sexiness?
See, yeah, no, they said that. So now it's going to him, and he's gonna.
Let's repeat that again. Let's see. That.
Oh shit! See, now I'm not gonna be that yes man. No, Tony, no. Bad. Don't do that. No, you're fine, but you should still be a gentleman, and you should act like. I mean, it's just honestly, it's like just act like a human. Like, right. Yeah, it's not hard. It's not like, well, what do you think about this? You know what I mean? And then if they don't accept that, fucking just atrocious fucking approach, you're like, so let's talk about that contract for this movie.
Yeah, listen, it doesn't matter if you're hung like a horse and you jump up and down and your dick looks like a propeller. You just don't do that right off the bat. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. You don't. You just don't come right out with that. You know, you work your way into that. You know what I mean? This is nothing you can do. You don't run that route. I mean, not me at least. So I just take it easy out there. Have it?
Now I've been accused of fat shaming in here. That's fat shame by Kasim Ko. I know she's joking, but that is the fucked up world. Now I'm a liberal motherfucker, but I don't know if I'm getting old. I'm only 30, but I'm getting sick of this bullshit. You can't say anything because I know she's joking, but people will probably be like, he said 400 people can't expose themselves to innocent women in the middle of a contract negotiation. Is it because he's fat? I'm like, no, it's because that's an animalistic pig thing to do, you fat fucks. And a little bit of fat shaming keeps the woman skinny. All right. So
I apologize to a lot of women when I was younger on Facebook. My personal friends, I put a post. They all laughed about it because I tell you, when I was growing up, when I was in 6th grade, 7th grade, I was a serial ass grabber. I grabbed every woman's ass I could grab. It was just in me. I don't know why.
Tony, we're live. We're live. You know, this is not pre-recorded.
Yeah. No, I'm just, so I grabbed that. So I apologize. They all laughed about it and stuff like that. I didn't look at it like that, So I think there's, people when you're young, you're in 6th, 7th grade, you got hormones. Certain things are just growing up. You know what I mean? And things like that. I took my share of beatings for those ass grabs. Believe me, I got smacked in the face a lot of times, but I was also fleet-footed, so I got away a lot of times too.
Really justifying it. Yeah, I agree that there's a difference between understanding how it could happen, in understanding a little bit more how it could happen, and it being okay.
Like now, as a grown-ass man, would I see a grown-ass woman grab? No. I wouldn't even think of doing anything like that. Of course not.
It seems like it might be a little bit in there, though. It seems like you might think about it a little bit. To be honest, I'm just saying. Hey, I used to DJ titty bars, so maybe I'll just see if I got my old contacts. It's perfectly okay there. It's actually definitely it's part of the job. So let's move on. Tony Teflon is a good guy, and he is not like Harvey Weinstein because he's not fat. That's not all that distinguishes him. All right. And if you're The Rock, you shouldn't do it either. Now, maybe John Cena. I don't know. We'll see. So yeah, let's go to the chat for any questions right here. I see Crack Addict from Milt. I'm sorry you're dealing with that, Milt. Hopefully you get help. Let's see. He'll sell a lot more books by delaying the release. See, okay. Now here's another, and this person's actually, he's a geophysicist. He's the person in charge of finding oil. And he is saying right now, and I love you, Milt, that he'll sell a lot more books by delaying the book releases. Everyone will be itching for inclining for new material. Listen, you don't think they're itching already? And you think the publisher is okay with that? If anything, it'd be more advantageous for him to come out now with the books. It actually doesn't make a difference. He's going to win no matter what. So the publishing house is not going to allow that shit. They're not going to be like, it's going to be like crack, baby. They're going to be like, no, you're 2 to almost 3 years over your fucking deadline. The book has to come out. This is a business deal, not a goddamn Boy Scout operation. I mean, I don't know. I just think there's a little bit too much people thinking that HBO and the publishing house and George R. Martin are all the same people, because they're not.
He wins. George wins. And it's any way you look at it, and you can look at it in a bad way, it's a win-win. Only thing I could see happening bad is like this. So Wins a Win is going to sell what it's going to sell. That's no doubt about it. The next book after that would be, could fatigue set in? At that point, if people already know the ending, would there be such a rush to go out and grab this book that we already seen the story for? Now, if he did more Duncan Eggs, or he did more spin-off books that they could adapt,
Targaryen lineage books,
yeah, they could definitely sell a lot. Now, terrible, and God forbid, please God, I do not want this to happen. But now, if in between something terrible happened to George, you know what I mean, before Dream of Spring came out, that would take that book back over the top. Without a doubt, people would just go out there and go nuts and buy it. You know, just like anyone who's an artist or their music or anything else like that, it would be the same type of rush for all of this stuff.
That's the best marketing campaign there ever did. And I totally agree, because let's look, and actually there's just way more negatives. Number one, like Tony just said, there would be fatigue that could possibly set in. It's even not likely, but that's more likely for fatigue to set in if he waits too long. Also, if it comes out that he is holding these books back, because there's already people obviously speculating about it. So just the bare minimum of proof that's happening will make people despise that and lower the sales. It's nothing but negative for him to hold back those books. It's almost, they already know the ending. And I mean, come on, if he's taking this long, are we going to have another 7 years? Because I did a parody video where I said it's like a calorie intake to page output ratio, and every heart surgeon says that it's not coming out. You know what I mean? Like, how many pages does he turn out to how much cholesterol he has? I don't think he's the type of guy that his editor, his agent, the guy that runs the publishing house is like, well, George, he's a healthy guy, so he's got another 15 years in him, because I mean that's what he's averaging. We're looking at 15 years for these books.
Yeah,
that's Nintendo 64 wasn't out when he released his first book, so yeah. I don't want to hear that he's holding back. I mean, it's just crazy to me. There's nothing that makes it better. He's like, oh, we'll wait for him to fail, but I mean, people are always going to say the books are better. He could release a flip book with nothing but pictures, and people would be like, it's better, because it's just the way people are, man. It's just the way fucking people are. People
want money, and look, he's done a lot of money grabs, whether it's map books or this, that. He's done that, and that's the publisher telling him, hey, get on this, get on this, get on this, get on this, get on this. And that's why he hasn't been able to do everything that he's been able to do, because the publisher's like, yo, you got to strike when oil's hot. It's time right now. And they know that this, he's not a young man. He's not, and they know that you have to get all you can get, and they will work you to the bone to get what they got to get out of you, as much as they can get out of you. This is just what people do. This is the human beings, man. It's what it is.
And let's not kid ourselves. Even though I wouldn't predict the Game of Thrones, the spinoffs are not going to be successful. I think they're going to be very successful, but it's never going to be as popular as it is right now.
No, and there's no proof that it's going to be successful, because we haven't seen many successful spinoffs in the history of TV. I mean, you can count them on one hand, and that's the bottom line. If you really look at all the successful spinoffs that were bona fide hits.
Joey. Right?
I think the one that goes, the Facts of Life, right? We go with that. Right. That was a hit. That was a spinoff from what? Different Strokes. The Jeffersons, that was a big one, right? No, all these shows they weren't good. Only one you could say was a true bona fide hit. Frasier, yes, bona fide hit, but that's one. Name others. There's not that many out there, so it's gonna even Brian Cogman writing it and George R. Martin writing it, because when you give this story of the Dance with Dragons, what I think it's going to be, people are going to be more interested in that than a story that has already ended. By the time it comes out, Game of Thrones will be off the air for 14 years. By the time you get Dreams of Spring, they're not going to be interested in that story. We already know the end of that story. We're already good with that. What's next? What's going on here? Show me that. What else you got? You can get into that situation.
Yeah, like let's get a book about The Wire. Or you know, which I would read because I like, and you should watch. But or you know, let's get a book about 24 or anything else. You know, I mean, things are never as good as they seem, and they're never as bad as they seem. But it wouldn't make sense. Nobody's sitting there rolling the dice unless if you're talking about crackheads, unless his publisher is a literal crackhead, which I think his impulses would make him release this like early. He would write it himself in like fucking blood. But yeah, I don't think that they're sitting around thinking that it's advantageous for them to hold back on this, because just the press behind that, when there's already so many of us, everybody with a microphone speculating, you know, so it's not advantageous, because the slightest slip up, which they've already leaked whole scripts, their security is not the tightest. I don't know if they're pinky swearing with their NDAs or not, but I don't know what the fuck's happening with that. But that needs to get straightened out. I don't think these plot leaks are real, but yeah, they already have security issues. They can't have shit like that floating around. It's not good for HBO. It's not good for anybody. But hey, it seems fun. Cardinal, why do I have something like that? You can swear in the chat. Why does it keep making me like have to approve it? Look how much I'm swearing. Look how much we're saying things about Bugs Bunny being a rapist. I mean, come on. YouTube pays no fucking.
We're not lying, man.
We're not lying, no, but it's not. Yeah, YouTube's like, well, we don't like it though. Logan Paul though, he's okay. So yeah. Do you think that you're going to be satisfied? You seem like a reasonable man, Tony, except for some of your personal beliefs. You seem like a fairly reasonable man. I'm joking. You seem like a good guy. Do you think that you are going to be satisfied? You've already admitted that you're kind of setting your expectations a little lower, but you still are thrilled by that prospect of this being bittersweet, like no other television show in history of television's ever been.
Now, I whatever he puts out, I'm cool with. You know what I mean? So it's nothing. You know, I don't expect it to end the way I want it to end, and I just want him to end it the way he wants it to end. So there's nothing he could do. I could be satisfied. There's nothing he can really do to unsatisfy me. I accept the way it is. Even if I don't like it, I accept it for what it is, and I can move on from there. Now, obviously, there's always things, I wish it would have ended like this. I wish it would have did this, but that's not my call. So whatever he puts out, I'm cool with it. He could just put it out there. It's like I said, you know, Stannis is my favorite character. I don't expect him to make it to the end or anything like that. If he did that, it'd be great. But if he doesn't, I don't think he's going to, then, you know, I'm not going to say, this book sucks because Stannis didn't make it to the end. No, it's not. He wasn't supposed to make it to the end, because this is what his story is supposed to be. So I'm cool with whatever he puts out there.
Yeah, and I'm just catching up. I'm sorry, guys. I'm the only one that's able to see this chat right now. Alexandra, we don't think that he's going to switch the story that he sold, but we can't say without a doubt that would violate any type of agreement. And it doesn't mean it would be the opposite. What they most likely acquired the rights to was intellectual property, but intellectual property is what's up here. What's up here, I don't know about you, but tends to change. So it's possible for it to happen. So I could see a lawyer arguing out of it. I don't think it's likely, but I don't think he sold that he has to stick to whatever he told them in that lunch he had with them for sure. I think it's likely he's going to. It's very unlikely that he won't, but I wouldn't say without a doubt, because I try to hold this channel to a level of that we won't just wildly speculate and say things that we don't know, because we weren't at that meeting. George could have been like, I get to bang your wife every other month too, and that could be in the contract, and that could be happening right now. And it's okay, because overweight people are allowed to have sex as well. There's no fat shaming on this channel. And that would be exercise for him. Maybe he'll turn out more pages. You know, so I don't know. Yeah, we're not saying anything decisively, but it doesn't have to be opposite. I mean, look, there's a whole major POV gone for the show. There's no young Griff, and they still made it work. You know what I mean? Like, so it doesn't necessarily have to be the opposite. You see how they can combine things. You see how things can twist. I mean, it's just the nature of the business. I don't think he would be technically held to anything. It'd probably be. I mean, come on. There's people who've gotten out of far worse than that. So we can't say without a doubt. But yeah, if I had the bet money right now, I would bet that it's not going to change because it's just that's not going to void well with them. They're not going to be like, you sold this bullshit story that sucked, and then you wrote this great story. That could be a countersuit right there. But again, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know if Tony is. I know he's really good at what he does, but maybe he's a lawyer. I don't know. So yeah,
when you're a black person in America and you're a certified paralegal by the age of that's what it comes in this country.
Well, yes, and that's absolutely true. We're so liberal here that we just make everything okay. So yeah, no, but anything. I think that everybody that's watching will probably know where to find you, Tony. And I would love to have you on because one of the issues with YouTube Confidential is I've had great guests and I'm happy with all of them, but I do feel that people hold back. I think you're the type of guy that's not going to hold back when he talks about this platform. I think we could almost do a YouTube Confidential live.
It is what it is. I tell people the truth. I'll never lie about it, and I'll never sugarcoat it. I put it out there because it is what it is, and people should just be proud of the truth and what it is. So I would love to do it if you get to put me on there. I guarantee if you want to talk about the history of YouTube or anything about there or any content creator, I'll tell you everything I know about it. I'm not going to disrespect anyone because there's really no disrespectful things that really went out there, but I've studied and have a really good memory. So I remember everything when it started and everything else. So I would definitely let you know the deal and stuff like that for any question you got. Shouldn't be.
Would you say it's fair to say that if you switched a few people's numbers around that are in this fandom, a few people that have 100K right now with a few people that have 20K, that life might make a little bit more sense to you?
I think that people get what they deserve to get. So though, if I felt like, let's say like my favorite rapper is Coogee Rap, he's the greatest rapper of all time.
I disagree.
He never sold like Vanilla Ice sold, right? There's a reason why Vanilla Ice sold. I'm not particularly never a fan of Vanilla Ice, but something he put out there connected to the people that bought his stuff. So I will never take away from any success that anybody ever has. It's something that made them successful, something that put them out there, that touched them, and that's a blessing for them, and I'm happy for them to get there. Now, does that mean that I think that if they battled on stage, Coogee Rap would dust his ass? Of course he dusts his ass. You know what I mean? Just because you have the most doesn't make you the best. Most of the people that are the richest people and whatever don't mean they're the best players or anything like that. So
as a white person, I take offense to you saying Vanilla Ice is not the best rapper. That's my white right to be mad about that. But do you still believe that even when we're dealing with an algorithm, because this isn't really all merit based, since there's an algorithm involved, it's not putting everybody on an equal platform.
There's no way it's equal. There's no way they can. So I don't know if it has to be. I guess it should be equal. But it's no way that it's equal. You just look at the numbers and you look at the things that are trending. You could see people that are trending with 5 million views, and someone right next to them will have 100,000 views, and then someone won't be trending that has 2 million views. It's what they want to do. They promote who they want to promote. That's what YouTube does. That's the truth, and that's the bottom line. There's no way around it. And they can say whatever they want to say because they have to say it to be politically correct. But they push who they want to push. You can see it by who comes up in a recommended video. Because if you look at YouTube, most of your views, if people don't know YouTube, always come from people who are not subscribed to your channel. Yeah. The people who are subscribed to your channel do not make up about 10% of your views. All your views come from non-people that are subscribed. The way you get views from people that are not subscribed is to be recommended on videos that are already doing good, or other videos of that content. So you can always see the big channels, no matter whose video it is, the next video in the playlist, they'll pop their video up there. It doesn't have to be about the same topic. It doesn't have to be about it. They put their video there. That's how they get that rotation. So every YouTuber's job is trying to get to that position and trying to get into that, what I call the matrix. Try to get your video in that spot. And that's what you're trying to do. And that's how you get those views. But there's no rhyme or reason. It works for some people, it doesn't work. There's nothing you can say that works for everybody. It's impossible.
There's always that question mark at the end of there's a formula you can follow for the algorithm, but in the very end, there's a question mark. So, you never know what it is and you never know how to play it, but there's something to be said for gaming the system. And there's something to be said for that being just a skill. And you got to give props where props are due. It's just not traditional.
It's a hustle. I don't never knock nobody's hustle, man. If you a hustler and you figured it out and you got that hustle going, bravo for you. You know what I mean? Even if your shit is hot garbage and you got it, get that dough. Get what you can get, man. Make that money, man, and do your thing. And I'll never disrespect anyone for being successful. I wish everyone was successful. That's the way it should be. I wish, I was more successful. I take what I get, though. I'm in the position I'm supposed to be, and that's why I'm there. If I was supposed to be somewhere else, I'd be there. But right now, this is where I'm supposed to be, and hopefully I'm supposed to be somewhere else later on and I get there. So I take where I'm at, and then we just keep moving from there.
That's a very optimistic view, and I like it. And I would like to say the Justin Thomas show is not only have a bittersweet ending, but our garbage is not ever under heat lamps. It's made fresh, so it's the hottest. It's always very hot, and our garbage is the hottest garbage around. But yeah, no, that's a very good. I'm looking forward to the YouTube Confidential with you, Tony. I didn't realize. I thought that you were about a few years in, but like I said, I'm not doing one till May because it is kind of a niche market for people that like to watch those videos and they take a lot of work. But I'm very interested since, how many years have you been doing this now? 4 years?
Yeah, at least 4 years, I would say. Yeah, I'm in. So when I look at the YouTube situation, I probably would be considered phase 2 of the YouTube people. So phase 1, I would consider
Philip DeFranco.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about for Game of Thrones. It's
just timeline based.
Oh yeah, so Game of Thrones phase 1 to me is History of Westeros, Taco Assemble, Comic Book Girl 19, the Lady Kayla. Those were the first people to really do it and put it out there. I came right after that, so I would consider myself phase 2. I was right after them, but I watched them, and that made me want to do what I did. So I'm phase 2 right behind them. And then I know the whole list. I remember everyone coming out. I got a really good memory. So I know phase 3. I think right now it would be considered like phase 5 with all the newer people that's out there right now.
Yeah.
For doing Game of Thrones YouTube videos.
Isn't it funny too? And I want to give a quick shout out to because there's very few times that you get a true professional in their field on YouTube. In Costume Co, that's I believe still in the chat. She just did her first live stream. You did a wonderful job, and she is a professional costume designer. She works in the biz. She's from Canada. Don't hold that against her. They do a lot of work in Canada, actually. Sorry, that's my dumb American dry humor. For you guys, no, she's wonderful at what she does, and it's so amazing about how much costume design really matters and how much you can tell from things like that. So I know that I'm going to be coming on. I know that you have a lot to watch, and you're going to be watching Peaky Blinders, and I got faith in you, and we're going to talk about it. Costume Code, not putting you on the spot, just saying watch it. Watch it. Stop watching this right now and start watching it. But no, it's really wonderful to see you out there. Everything you do is great. It's well done. And I suggest you guys, I'll put her link in the channel. BBM, you got a wrench. I forgot to take it away from you. Just joking. But yeah, you got a wrench. Go ahead and if you could link her, please. Also, you should subscribe to BBM if you guys aren't already familiar.
And the bro black man. What up, brother? I ain't seen him in a while. Right? I ain't seen that cat in a while. I don't know where he been at. You know what I mean?
Maybe, do you think he's ducking you?
I don't know. He may be ducking me, so I have to come out there and see him. I'll be down in the city a little bit too. I think next week. So
he's like the nicest guy. Legitimately, BBM might be the nicest person. Like it makes. I thought for so many months of working with him that it's a front, and I was testing him. He's legitimately a good person. As a club DJ for 10 years, I didn't run across too many good people. So I was like, this motherfucker's up to something, but he's legitimately one of the best people I've ever met. So BBM, that's your shout out. Yeah, one of the best. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to having that YouTube Confidential with you. And just one last thing on that. Don't you think it's so ironic that Comic Book Girl 19 seems to be almost anybody that you ask? That's the first person they found. I found her, then I found Smokescreen, then I found you. That gave me 3 different takes on it. I found a hot girl, I found a smoke screen that was your regular guy. I found you that had a different style to the way you approached it. You know what I mean? You definitely weren't like the rest of it. You didn't have like the geek apparel behind you.
Guy too, if you wanted to. It's all right if you want.
What's that?
You could say a hot guy too if you want to.
Yeah, dude. No.
I'm just
I mean,
saying, not.
Chris for Smokescreen. Yeah, but you know what I mean. Yeah. But no, I just wasn't into it. No, no. I was like, that fine looking motherfucker be talking about Game of Thrones. So no. But I was like, all right, that's a different take. But I was so out of it because I was in the clubs every single night. And then I didn't realize that people were talking about this shit online. And I was like, okay, who's doing this? Probably guys that are just complete nerds. And I saw a hot girl. I was like, all right. And I started edging in and I saw Smokescreen. I'm like, that's relatable. And I saw you with the style that I recognized from being on stage as well. You put a little pizzazz in it. You're true to yourself. Like I said, that's why I've always had you in mind. Like I told Chris Smokescreen, I always had a few people in mind for YouTube Confidential. And even though I didn't know you, you're one of them. Because I was like, I bet I'd get a good interview out of that guy. So I'm happy I'm at a place where you guys will come on my channel, because I know that the people I have on mine, I definitely respect. So it means a lot to me. It helps a lot. I just find it so weird that the person that brought us all here, Comic Book Girl 19, doesn't do Game of Thrones anymore.
Yeah.
It's just...
It's sad, you know what I mean? Because she was so good at it. And, like when the R plus L equals J, she was the first person to put that out there in the way that she did. There was no one else out there putting that out there. In all honesty, when she put that out there, it made me have to go back and really think about it. Like, well, I missed it. Like I thought I had something, but I missed it. It was really her video that I watched that really locked it down. That's what it truly was. It was what she put out there. And she's the inventor of the epic video, the epic house. She made that word epic into a tag term for Game of Thrones. It was her videos that put that out there, that if you put in epic Game of Thrones, it's her videos that pop up. And you, as I said, in the YouTube matrix, what you try to do is try to get your video played after other people's videos. So by her doing that, made other people put epic in their videos to try to get plays from her videos and get their channels bigger. But that has to be 100% credited to Comic Book Girl 19 to put the epic out there and all that detailed house stuff.
History, the lore of the Lannisters.
Yeah, without her, there's no Shift Alt X, there's no nothing like that.
No Secrets to the Citadel. That's the closest thing I can get to. I love them. So see, I don't know Gemma, but the work they put out, I always praise, because that is what it reminds me of. They do individual topics and they flesh them out well.
Yeah,
so,
I've never spoken to her myself in person, but she has a very good voice. When you get that accent.
Well, that always adds. My buddy Robert, I tell him, but they back it up with it. Like I said, I don't know her, but I'm a big fan and always have been. And you know how it is as a content creator. You don't listen to too many other people. She's one of the channels that I still listen to. And she's part of a great group that's also part of this chat, the Game Banners of Throne, which sounds like a porn thread. It's not, unfortunately. It's just a bunch of good people. Cammy, who is always supportive of all of us, new, old, all that. So yeah, I mean, like I show respect where it's at. I don't know. I know her name is Gemma, and I know she runs Secrets of Citadel, and I really enjoy her content. But yeah, I mean, there's no doubt. And I always joke with Robert from In Deep Geek, even though he's one of the most concise and one of the best content creators out there. I'm like, to us Americans, that English accent like adds 100 points to that IQ right away. I'm like, it is. It's like a thing, but they back it up. Trust me, they're no dummies.
No, let's say I've never met them, and the other person you mentioned, never met them, never talked to them personally. So I watched some of their videos and stuff like that, and she does a very good job of what she does. I have nothing bad to say. She used to run with My Girl Gray Area, so anyone who was down with My Girl Gray Area, it's definitely got to be good peoples. I think I'll see her at Con of Thrones most likely this year. Maybe I'll have a chance to say something to her when she's there and stuff like that. As for your boy Smokescreen, I think that I'm on I know I'm on a few panels with him at this year's Con of Thrones, so I'll chop it up with him there or when we get down there and stuff.
Yeah, I think that I mean, you're not old, but you're one of the OGs in this fandom, and I think that people there's no way that people didn't see you at one point and take a little bit of your content and innovate it, implement it into theirs. I know I did. You know what I mean? I know it gave me confidence to say that there's all sorts of different people that are doing this with all sorts of different approaches. I don't need to follow, the high five from Charlie, or I don't need to be, this or that. Not that one's better than the other. That there's people doing this in all different ways, and this fandom is deeper than just a whole bunch of nerds. There's people from all walks of life that love this, and we can escape for a little bit from the bullshit to talk about the things we love more than once a week, 10 weeks out of the year. And that's what it's about. You know what I mean? And it's making the best we can make out of it. So I'm honored to have you on, my friend. I will be going to the Kind of Thrones next year. I was going to start a little crowdsourcing thing for it, but I'll just pay my own way next year. But yeah, I think those panels are great. I think it's great to see all the people that I've watched individually come together on those panels. And I can't imagine what that's like for you guys. I assume it seems like it was a good experience for everybody, even qualms and foibles aside. It seemed like everybody came out of last Kind of Thrones loving each other. So we'll talk about that in the YouTube Confidential, but I think it's great when people, no matter what, how you approach it, we're like-minded individuals. We put in work.
I came out of that Kind of Thrones loving anybody, but it switched after we got out of Kind of Thrones for one person. But you know, that's just the way it is. That's just what they put it on and stuff like that. But when I go out there, I'm just out there to have a good time. As I told people, you know, I'm from Queens, New York. You know, in all honesty, you know, a lot of these people I see out here that are doing liking Game of Thrones, doctors and lawyers and astrophysicists, you know what I mean, and all this stuff. Now I'm a kid from Queens, New York, you know what I mean, who their father's an electrician, mom's a registered nurse, grew up in a, you know, upper middle class Jewish neighborhood, chilling in Kew Gardens out there, blood gushing, flushing. You know what I mean? And a lot of my heads and my peoples that I roll with, you know, that they ain't into that. You know what I mean? They weren't into that reading and that type fantasy stuff like that. So when I got into this, you know, and started doing this video stuff like that, you know, I've lost chicks that when I first started, like, are you that guy doing that YouTube video? Like, yeah, hello. I've never heard from him again, you know, and kept doing it and stuff like that just to meet a friend. I just wanted someone to actually just talk about this series to. And that is really what drives me, and that's all it really became to me, and that's what it is to me. I just wanted to meet someone to talk the books with, talk about something that I love with, and that aren't, because my peoples don't talk about that. So that's what I look at this as, and I've met people from all over the world, you know, people that, listen, I've met lawyers that I only would meet them, they would only talk to me if I hired them to defend me, right? So that's the way it is, and I didn't have to do that. And Game of Thrones has allowed me to do that. So and George R. R. Martin has done that. And when you look at Chris Rock, when he gives you that Big and Black, and he tells you about wealth, being wealthy, people that are rich and people that are wealthy, George R. R. Martin is wealthy, because when people are wealthy, other people make money off them. And all of us on YouTube, all of us who all that, all make money because of George R. R. Martin. So you always bend the knee to that man right there who puts money in everybody's pocket for what he did. And that's true wealth, and brings all of us together, races, religions, different continents. Don't care about none of that. All you care about, we got a love for the books, and we all have different opinions on them. And that's what it's all about to me.
I won't work with people from Nova Scotia. I'm saying that I have a huge, I'm just really against them. They're bad people. There's probably going to be somebody from fucking Nova Scotia. But no, I'm joking. Yeah, no, you're completely right. And vice versa. Look at After Thrones on HBO. That shit ain't around anymore. Want to know why? Even beginner YouTubers could have handled that fucking after show better. Those motherfuckers didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah, no idea.
This is pioneers for it. I'm not trying, you know, I'm not just talking about me. I'm talking about this whole platform. This is showing a different way to do things, not only with Game of Thrones, but with news, with sporting events, with everything. This is, you don't need to be on network TV. Network TV don't get the numbers. Look at those two silly ass motherfuckers that just boxed and got those live stream numbers. I was a boxer. Those guys couldn't box all that well, but they got numbers.
Me too. I boxed too.
There we go. Hey,
I boxed with PAL for the Police Athletics League in Queens for 8 years straight. Love boxing.
I was USABF in Detroit. I fought against fighters from the Kronk.
That is, the Kronk, Emmanuel Stewart. Yeah, yes. If you're fighting in the Kronk, then it's on and popping, and that's what it is, baby. There's no better.
Never fell. Had one fight stopped because of too much blood loss, but never fell. So Tony Teflon versus Justin Thomas. How much you weigh? I'm so out of shape, dude. I work from home. I'm so out of shape. How much you weigh?
I just started getting back in. I just started getting back in.
Stop getting back in shape, and we'll do it. What are you, 180? 190?
Huh? Who, me?
Yeah.
No, I'm actually right now. I'm 168.
Oh, I'll take it. Okay, give me 3 months. 3 months.
Yeah, I'm 168 right now. I'm trying to get to 175 again. I want to be back to 170. My Roy Jones Jr. build. I want to get
Different
back to that.
journey. Different journey. I'm trying to drop. How tall are you?
Huh? I'm 5'10".
Okay. Yeah. We'll talk. We'll talk. We'll try to get those numbers. Fuck kind of Thrones. All right, brother. All right. All right. I'm looking forward to the YouTube Confidential. Anybody I forgot to mention, I apologize. Everybody I mentioned, I don't know. I eventually want to get on your channel, obviously. So,
Obviously, come on anytime you want. You're always welcome. We could do it right now. Like, I turn this off and put it on my channel. If we really want to do it, we could do it. But we could definitely set that up. Let me give a shout out to my man, my man, 50 grand, my brother from another mother, my homeboy. You know what I mean? Someone that I am proud to call my friend. That is AU Pack Mule, who hooked this whole situation up for me and everything else like that. You know what I mean? Big ups to my brother AU Pack Mule. You know what I mean? I really wish you would go into Kind of Thrones and I'd be able to meet you. The whole A Song of Ice and Fire con. I really would. The only reason I would go there would just be to say, and I'm really tempted to drive from New York, this is Chicago, just to say what up to you and drive right the fuck back. That's how much it means to me to want to meet you, my brother. And you know what I mean? So shouts out go out to you, my man.
yeah, he is like I call him the YouTube ambassador because I know you ran it by him first. You're like, is he all right? Is he all right? I'm sure, you know, he speaks. I mean, I can't imagine a guy that has more of a versatile reach. He's cool with everybody. So AU, if we need to, again, I'm not joking, we need to unionize and you need to be the fucking leader. So I love it. So, and Tony, thank you for coming on. And yeah, you don't fuck around. You're not afraid to come on camera and speak your mind about what you know, and you know it. So, and you can't really argue with it. So, because you weren't worried about what we were talking about. And I do truly believe that you would just turn on and do another live stream. And that's something to be said for. I've had to negotiate with people for months to get them to come on, and then they still won't be on camera. So, you know, again, don't take your clothes off randomly. That's not the best approach. You're better than that. But I think it's going to go good. So, boxing match to be determined. To be determined. I probably will not get in shape. I'm going to back out right now. So I am just honored to have you on, my friend, and I'm excited to do YouTube Confidential and come on your channel when you're willing to have me. Thank you, everybody that's in the live chat. I actually do have another live stream tomorrow with Hex Dogma, who is a pretty good Westworld creator who made some really good and really popular videos last season and is just jumping back into it. It's going to be anywhere from 7 to 9. So I will set that live stream, and of course I will tweet it out like it's the plague. You guys know me. Sorry, not sorry. So I appreciate it. Tony, thank you so much for coming on. And thank you guys for coming and supporting us.
No doubt. Thanks for having me, man. I really do appreciate that. Thanks for everybody in the live motherfucking chat. You know where to find me. And as always, peace.
Thank you, guys.